The first voice you hear in the morning is your own, and most people, without even realizing it, start their day with internal sabotage. They wake up and immediately begin rehearsing fear, doubt, and failure. Asterisk, I'm tired. I can't do this today. Nothing ever changes. Asterisk, that voice becomes a script. And the problem is, your brain listens, your nervous system responds. The words you speak, even silently, become the blueprint for how your day unfolds. You're not just thinking, you're programming. Now, imagine waking up and saying something different. Not fake affirmations, not delusional fantasies, but grounded, intentional truths. Asterisk, I'm built for today. There's purpose in my struggle. I am not my past. Asterisk, when you say those things with conviction, you're reorienting your psychological compass. You're establishing sovereignty over your inner world before the outer world even gets a chance to speak. This isn't motivational fluff. It's neuropsychology. The language you use affects your focus, your decisions, your identity. And if you change that internal dialogue for just 3 days, if you commit to speaking truth to yourself before the world speaks lies, you'll feel something shift. A sense of authority over your own life. You are the architect of your mornings. Speak like it. Most people don't realize it, but there's a constant dialogue running in their minds. A voice that critiques, condemns, and tears down. That inner critic, left unchecked, becomes the dominant influence over your identity. It's the voice that says, asterisk, you'll never be good enough. You always mess things up. Why even try? Asterisk, and here's the tragic part. We listen. We accept it as truth because it sounds familiar. But just because a voice is familiar doesn't make it right. You have to become aware of that critic and replace it with a coach. A coach doesn't lie to you. A coach doesn't ignore your flaws. But a coach speaks to your potential, not your limitations. For just 3 days, challenge yourself to interrupt that toxic mental loop. When the critic says, asterisk, you always fail, asterisk, respond, \asterisk, no, I've learned. When it says, asterisk, you're weak, asterisk, respond, asterisk, I'm in the process of becoming strong. Asterisk, it's not about blind positivity. It's about truthful reframing. It's about discipline over despair. If you don't consciously shape your inner voice, it will be shaped by your trauma, your past, or your culture. But if you take control, if you speak to yourself like someone worth fighting for, you begin to rise. Speak as if your future depends on it, because it does. There's a critical distinction between describing reality and directing it. Most people wake up and speak only to what they see. The debt, the fatigue, the disappointment. But if all you ever speak is what already exists, you'll remain trapped in it. Language isn't just for communication, it's for construction. It's creative, it sets the course. If you constantly talk about how hard life is, how stuck you are, how nothing ever works out, you're not just venting. You're reinforcing a mental cage. The more you name your problems, the more authority they gain over your thinking. But what if, for just 3 days, you spoke to your potential rather than your pain? What if you said, asterisk, this challenge is shaping me, asterisk or asterisk, I'm not buried, I'm being planted, asterisk, that shift in language might seem small, but psychologically it's profound. You're not denying your circumstances, you're reinterpreting them through a future-focused lens. That's where transformation starts. Not by escaping difficulty, but by declaring that your story doesn't end in it. You don't have to lie to yourself, but you do have to lead yourself. So stop rehearsing the problem. Start prophesying the possibility. Speak where you're going, not just where you are. One of the most overlooked disciplines is the practice of talking to yourself out loud directly, intentionally, and with full presence. Not in front of a crowd, not for social media, just you in front of a mirror facing yourself. It sounds simple, maybe even awkward, but psychologically, it's one of the most profound exercises you can engage in. When you look yourself in the eye and say, asterisk, I've got this, asterisk or asterisk, I'm not quitting on me, asterisk something shifts. It's a confrontation with truth, a declaration of self-respect. It's not about ego, it's about ownership. Most people avoid themselves, they distract, scroll, escape. But real growth starts with direct, unfiltered honesty. That mirror doesn't lie, and that's exactly why it's powerful. You're forced to deal with the gap between who you've been and who you're capable of becoming. For just 3 days, stand there every morning and speak as if your life depends on it, because in a very real way it does. Your future is shaped not by what others say about you, but by what asterisk you choose to say to yourself when no one else is watching. You don't need an audience to level up. You just need to face yourself and refuse to flinch. Every word you speak, especially to yourself, is a seed. And seeds don't care whether they're positive or destructive. They grow into whatever you plant repeatedly. That's why casual self-talk is anything but casual. If you constantly say asterisk, I'm overwhelmed, asterisk or asterisk, I never get it right, asterisk, you're not just venting frustration. You're sowing identity. Over time, that narrative takes root in your psychology. It shapes your posture, your decisions, even your willingness to try again. But you can flip that. You can choose to speak as someone who is building something lasting. For just 3 days, speak words that plant strength, not weakness, focus, not fear. Say things like, asterisk, every setback is teaching me something I'll use, asterisk or asterisk, I'm developing the kind of discipline that creates legacy, asterisk, that kind of language doesn't just feel good, it builds internal structure. It reinforces who you want to become rather than who you've been told you are. It directs your subconscious toward long-term purpose. You're either reinforcing a cycle or disrupting one, and your words decide which. So speak as if your children will inherit your mindset. Because in some way they will. Speak legacy even when no one's listening, especially then. People underestimate what can happen in just 3 days. We're conditioned to think change takes years, and yes, mastery does take time, but asterisk shift asterisk can begin in a moment. 3 days of focused, intentional self-talk can alter the emotional tone of your entire inner world. Why? Because identity is not fixed. It's fluid, especially when you start interrupting the habitual thoughts that have been running your life unchecked. If you've been speaking failure, resentment, or self-doubt to yourself for years, then yes, that's going to shape your posture toward life. But if for 3 days you consistently speak clarity, courage, and purpose, your nervous system begins to respond differently, your perception tightens, your resilience grows. This isn't about pretending. It's about taking authorship of the dialogue that determines how you see yourself. You begin to shift from passive observer to active participant in your own story. 3 days of mental discipline might sound like a small commitment, but it's enough to destabilize a lie and reintroduce truth. You don't need more time, you need more truth in the time you have. Speak with conviction. Speak like your life is listening. Because it is.